It's Cisvolk! Time to enjoy card making with me! In this video I show you how you can use Coverplate dies. I will be using this Coverplate die from ALINACRAFT. I have already separated the two parts with pliers. Sometimes using Coverplate dies can be a brain teaser because they mostly have a beautiful but also very busy pattern. You can die cut them in any color. If you cut them twice and place them shifted on top of each other, you will have a nice shadow. I made two videos before with similar dies that I will link to below. Today I will be combining it with other dies and stamps. I will use some butterflies, dies with leaves and nesting hearts. But instead of nesting hearts, you can of course use any other kind of nesting die you like. You will see in the video. I also again will be using the Pretty Makes Me Wonder paper from the Happy New Year bundle from ALINACRAFT. The bundle also comes with these lovely shaker bits. They will be linked below as well. And I will be using these colored pearls for my cards. The Coverplate die has the size of an American A2 card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch. If you only use the insert die, it will fit on a European size 10 1/2 cm wide card. For example, this slimline card. You can place the cover plate in the middle or can cut it in half and stick one piece on the bottom and one piece at the top. The middle you can decorate. You could ink blend it and foil or stamp a sentiment in the middle, for example. Also you can use a square card. This size is 13 1/2 by 13 1/2 cm wide. You can put it in the middle or cut it in half and glue both pieces at the sides. Or one piece at one side, or top and bottom of course, and again a sentiment or other decoration in the middle. How easy and simple you can make a card like this if you would just put a stamped and die cut butterfly at the side and add a sentiment. There's also the normal European size card. It fits, but then you will have a wide top and bottom. The American A2 size is just a bit wider. You will have to make an American sized card to have it completely cover this Coverplate die. You can use an A4 paper and use the leftovers for die cutting. Also you can use the Coverplate die at an angle, like this, and cut the rest off. You can again glue a nice die cut element on top of it, like this butterfly or like these leaves, and stamp a small sentiment text along the edge on the card to go with it, and then you're finished. Now I cannot make all cards that pop up into my head, nor can I make that many videos as they are very time consuming. But this was a quick introduction and I hope this helps you to create cards with Coverplate dies like this one. For details and die cutting with this Coverplate die, I recommend you to watch the product video I posted on my channel Cisvolk. There I show you how to separate the dies and how you will cut using the die the best and most easy without frustration. Sometimes you will have to add an extra paper shim in the middle of the die to get more pressure. Having it not fully cut in one go is not due to the dies but due to the pressure and maybe bended plates you use. Cutting it again and forward and back will mostly help you to get a good die cut coverage. If you have to deal with a lot of small pieces still in the die cut element, I advise you to use a tool like I have here. This one is from Cisvolk and this one is from Spellbinders. Before I had them, I used an uneven toothbrush to roll over the die and cut small pieces out. Also, you can put a piece of spongy foam underneath the paper to get rid of all tiny pieces. I did this all off camera and now I will be using the Coverplate die cuts to make two creative cards and inspire you. My card base for today is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch wide. I used American sizes for the measurement. That was easier. I took an A4 sized paper, cut some rest pieces off and scored the card in half. This will be the base for a shaker card. And I will be making two different shaker cards today. From this Makes Me Wonder paper pack I need 2 sheets, one for each card. one flowered sheet and one plain sheet. The plain sheet I already used for my latest card. I also made a video about it, and that video is on my channel as well. There is enough paper left to cut the panel I need to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch. I don't bother measuring and convert to centimeters, I just look at the ruler that has measurement inches. This will be the back for my first shaker card. I used these acetate sheets from ALINACRAFT. There are 10 pieces of A4 sheets in the package. My whole card will be a shaker. Therefore I needed to cut at 4 inches and 5 1/4 inch. The acetate looks somewhat milky. It looks blurred, but that is because there is a thin film of plastic on both sides to protect the acetate from scratches. We will remove that plastic later. I could have used a piece of double-sided tape on the back paper before cutting, but I didn't, and that is not a problem. Using small tape you can also glue the cover plate die to the acetate. For me it sticks better than glue. I also don't recommend using glue, because that will ooze out from under the die and get smudges, especially on plastic surfaces. So you can use double-sided tape sheets or small strips or double-sided tape. This tape from ALINACRAFT is 3 mm size tape. I use it all the time and it sticks like a dream. I also use small pieces in the small circles to also glue the middle of the die cut frame. That will be enough. You can also glue multiple layers of dies on top of each other, but I skip this since the card will be heavy enough being it a shaker card. Remind to remove the plastic film from both sides of the acetate before sticking the die cut on top. If you have trouble getting it off, just use a needle. This needle often helps me out while crafting. You see, glued like this is good enough. Now we have a base panel for the shaker. To make a shaker with this panel, you need some kind of small double-sided foam tape. I always keep all pieces of backings of double-sided tape, like sticker sheets, and they are very useful for cutting any sticky tape you have. I use a small roll of foam tape from ALINACRAFT. I guess it is 1/2 centimeter wide, so that is very small, though it is still a bit too wide to make a border for this shaker panel. The foam I will stick to the glossy side of the sticker sheet. Now I shared this tip before, but it is a great hack and this will make it lots easier to cut. First I check the size I need, so I don't spoil anything. I will need one for the longest side and one for the smallest side. So I will measure a piece of tape for this side one time as well. Cutting it in half lengthwise using long-bladed scissors, you get 2 pieces that are small enough. It is best to use long-bladed scissors. With shorter ones you will cut wonky. This tape is very strong. What you have to take in account is be sure to get a perfect fit in the corners. We don't want any shaker bits or sequins falling out of the card. I don't know how to explain this, but I bet you see how I do it. Try to stick it straight aligned on the edge with the protective film still on top. Have the last bit stick over the corner. And snip with your scissors exactly at the seam. Make the corners fit well, without any gaps. And I save the tiny bits of foam because they can go in the circle parts of the panel. You don't need to add them, but it makes the middle of the shaker more firm. I will be filling this shaker card with some white butterflies. And I use more than usual because this will have to fill up the whole card. I should only take into account that I have put all these foam squares onto the panel. And we don't want to have them stick to the shaker elements. So therefore I made rows and there is enough space in between for the foam squares I made. Press the foam well before shaking. I don't know if you can see it well, but the shaker works and you can hear it. I will decorate this shaker card and I have chosen this flower pattern paper. Maybe you think what a strange combination, but wait and see. I will use these wonderful butterfly stamps from ALINACRAFT. And why not stamp on this flower paper instead of white paper? But before I stamp randomly, I want to see where to best place the stamp. For that I made mini stencils using the matching dies that come with this set. With these scrap papers that have the negative butterfly, I can now see what it more or less will look like after stamping and die cutting. The stamp will be a bit bare when I just stamp on the leaves only. And I want to see the pink flowers on the wings of the butterfly. Using these openings from the die cuts, I can see better how the result will look. And if I want to see what it will roughly look like when I stamped over it, let us see if I grab the right butterfly. Yes, this one fits. Then I can hold the acetate example on top of the desired spot, and then I can see exactly which part of the pattern paper remains visible. This way I can also see that the blue flowers are a little too light for this card. I prefer to use the pink flowers. And watch what I do next. Instead of stamping first on this paper, I will do it the other way around. I will start die cutting the pattern paper first. While I was die cutting, my paper shifted, and that made that I missed a little corner on the wing. And I had to redo the small butterfly. But no waste of paper, I will use that one for my envelope. The negative pattern paper is also not a waste. We can use this negative to put on a card. You can stamp a butterfly in it or stamp a sentiment in it. Stamping the dies on the correct spot is difficult if you would do it by eyeballing. I have a tip for you to stamp perfectly and even mass-produce stamping butterflies. You will need a stamping platform to do this though. In my stamping platform I keep a replacement sticky sheet from Cisvolk. If you don't have this, you can put some low tacky tape underneath the die cut opening and adhere the paper to the stamping platform with tape or magnets. Having this sticky sheet helps a bunch. Now what you do is you put your clear stamp with the stamping part facing down inside the die cut opening. You can feel if it is in the middle in the right place, it just pops in. Also we do the other one. I can feel it pop in the right place. I shut the lid and pick up the clear stamps. Now we put the butterflies that we die cut out of the patterned paper in the openings of the die cut negatives. And because of the sticky grit underneath, it will stay put perfectly. But without it, it should also work if you are careful. I will use some talcum powder because I want to heat emboss the stamped part. This is just a self-made pantyhose, a short pantyhose. I filled it up with talcum powder bought at the drugstore. I twisted the pantyhose so that it is doubled up and then I made a knot at the top. It works perfect for making papers grease-free, so no embossing powder will stick to places where there is no ink. I ink the flowers up with Versamark ink. For a dark impression, I ink and stamp twice. Try not to touch the inked parts. If I would do this again, I would attach some tape underneath the die cut element on the back to connect it to the negative die cut. I could have touched that negative and have it still sit while heat embossing. Using tweezers is very handy and a good solution this way. I always like heat embossing, it is like magic. You make a matte stamp impression shiny and it gets a relief. I like now having colored butterflies without having to color them. The pattern paper underneath is visible, but not that much visible that it is disturbing that the pattern contains flowers. I will glue these butterflies on the card, but it only needs something extra to go with it. Now I decide to use the leaves dies. I'm only not sure which color of paper I like most. Most of the time I die cut in different types of papers and store them in the package with the die. I could use white leaves, but that is a bit boring. And I could use vellum. That is also often a great combination. Alina has very sturdy vellum in her store. This is nice, but I will just cut some leaves out of the same pattern paper and add that to it. This is such a gorgeous die, delicate but not too fragile. I pick out balanced places for the butterflies and look if there are leaves that are covered by a butterfly. Gluing vellum onto paper is something that can be tricky as it is translucent. Because the surface underneath the embellishments is not smooth and has a deep relief because of the Coverplate die, I choose to glue the vellum to the card using glue dots. Alina sells rolls of glue dots in her store, and they look like this. Normally you would add something like a ribbon or bow tie on top to pick the glue dot from the roll. Now I am picking it up using tweezers. It is no problem at all that the glue dot will roll up. I place it under the vellum, and yes, it is ugly, you can see it, but never mind, we will glue the other leaves partly on top later. I will also add a glue dot under some ends of twig. These I will cover with some colored pearls. The glue dots are extremely sticky and very useful when gluing something with lots of relief. However, you will have to be careful gluing these delicate pieces. The glue is so strong that it tore the leaves off that are on the pattern paper. No worries, I will fix it, and I have an alternative for that. For other parts of the pattern paper I used double-sided tape that I rolled up to get dimension. That also worked. The butterfly I will bend a little bit. That one I could have glued as well with a glue dot, but I use a strip of double-sided tape as this has more surface to stick. Using double-sided tape I place the leaves back into their place. Now we need something to cover the glue dots under the vellum. I will add some colored pearls to the end of some leaves. There are many different colors in the jar. I have found a light pink and a darker shade pink that I will use. Also using the glue dots, I stick them to the vellum leaves of the card. Now I still am not that happy with that broken piece of the die cut, and because it is just the place where I want my sentiment, I glue the sentiment on top. Under the sentiment I missed some decoration, so I cut out an extra piece and glue that under the sentiment to fill up that empty space. This time using tape, and now I can tack it on under the sentiment. The fourth pearl will go to that end leaf as well, to give it some balance. On the envelope I will glue some leftovers. Out of a scrap piece of paper I die cutted the butterfly and a part of the leaves. The leaves I glued at the top and the piece of paper that it came out of I glued below that. I also die cutted the butterfly out of the pink paper so that the stamped inlay would perfectly fit in it, keeping the envelope as flat as possible. The pink butterfly that was left I glued at the back. I have put my light on top so you can see the embossing and the pearls shine. The card is a bit thicker than a normal card, but fits perfectly in a normal European envelope. What do you think of it? Let's make another shaker card. And now I will combine the Coverplate die with nesting heart dies. I already took 2 hearts that I glued together with some Scotch tape. If you combine 2 nesting dies with a piece of Scotch tape, you can make a frame for a shaker. I will be cutting an opening in this panel, but first you will need to make 2 die cuts out of white paper. I glued a double-sided sticky sheet to the back of white paper to make gluing easier on the acetate. I used these nested hearts. It is important that you glue them together so the die cuts are identical. To be sparingly with the paper, I cut it by hand first. The rest of the sheet will stay nice and clean. We only need the outer edge, so we can use the middle heart for another project. Next we will die cut the outer heart from the panel, and so that will be the spot for the shaker. I purposely did it this way on the side. What I die cut out is nice for sure. I can use that for something else. Look how cool it is when I put it on a red piece of paper. But anyway, let's finish this card first. I'm going to get another pattern paper. This one is still the Makes Me Wonder paper pack. And I'm looking for a flowered paper that fits underneath the panel nicely, and to me this one is perfect. One with some bigger flowers will fit, or if you like it better, just a plain one. Or maybe this one, or any other papers you might have. Sometimes there might be some small paper fibers inside your die cuts. If they annoy you, you can remove them by using some tape, and the sticky side will grab these paper fibers for you. I doubt if you can see it, but it definitely works. At the back of the panel we can glue some tape, or if you prefer, add some glue. And now we can stick that to the pretty pattern paper. Let me show again how to glue straight in a corner of a paper. No waste and aligned in one go if you use the edge of your stamping platform. And of course I picked the corner where that nice rose is peeking through the heart opening. Now we cut the pattern paper to size, and I prefer to use my guillotine trimmer for that, because it always makes a reliable cut. The reason I did not use the frame shape to cut it out is that it is a bit bigger, and I don't want a flower edge but a wide edge to this card. Also for this card I will be needing a piece of acetate again. I will die cut out of this piece of acetate to get the window for my shaker. The cut did not completely go through 3 pieces of plastic in one go, but that is no problem. We can cut the rest using scissors. I needed to have the size for the outside heart, and now we have that. The outer pieces of plastic protected the acetate while running it through the machine. I will remove them in a moment. First I will glue the bottom nested heart frame into the opening of the card. Let's remove the film on both sides of the acetate. And now glue the heart frame on top of the acetate heart. If you only loosen one part, like I only now folded the yellow backing from the pointed shape of the heart, then you can glue the frame on the perfect spot without touching the sticking parts. See, when it is in place, you can pull out the yellow sticker backing. The trick with cutting the foam strips in half is the same for the heart. Only here, when sticking it to the shaker frame, I will remove both protective strips, also the top one. Doing this will help us bending it into the shape we need. Would the protective strips still be on top, they would straighten the tape and not follow the curves. New pieces must be close to one another. The inside must be completely covered by tape on all edges. I also use an extra piece to cover the thicker part of the heart, but that is for stability. Now we can add shaker elements to the shaker frame. I choose colors that match the paper. The green are lovely lucky clovers, and the pink are soft pink butterflies. In this bundle from ALINACRAFT store are also white butterflies and yellow lucky clovers, but they come in a lot of pastel colors. And Alina has so many shakers in our store, you should definitely check it out. Now we can stick the window onto the double-sided tape. Press it down firmly and shake. Also for this card I cut these lovely leaves out of white paper. First I check where it will sit on top of the heart. There I will add some pieces of double-sided tape. On the parts that stick out I add double-sided foam tape, or just leave it as is. Next we need a text. I picked the Hello sentiment from the butterfly stamp set. I'm going to see how this text looks when I heat emboss it with pink embossing powder. And another with plain black VersaFine ink and transparent embossing powder. and see which one we like best for the card. Both can fit the card very well. The pink is a lovely color. I choose by checking some colored pearls to see which variation is most to my liking. I decide to use the black one for now, and I decide to cut the sentiment, leaving a small border around it. There are dies for the butterflies, but not for the word. I like cutting, so for me that is not a big problem, but you can use another sentiment of course. Using foam tape, I glue the text on raised. I make sure the text is positioned in the middle of the card. This panel needs a card base. Using an A4 paper, I first score the paper at 4¼ inch. Not completely till the end of the paper. Then I cut this paper at 5½ inch. That is 5⅔, and that is exactly 14 centimeters. Next, I will fold the valley scored line outwards. The valley will become a mountain now. That I press flat using a bone folder. You can also use the handle of your scissors or your nail if you prefer. Score from the middle to the outer sides. And then cut off the part that is sticking out. This is how I make A2 base cards out of A4 papers. The card panel fits perfectly on top. Using double-sided tape and the perfect hack to glue tape without problems, I stick it to the base card. The leftover paper I can use to decorate the envelope. When I cut it in half, I can use both sides of the envelope to glue a strip on it. Here again the cards I made. The cover plate combined with a heart, which I made into a shaker. I glued some pink pearls on the leaves. Here I glued the cover plate flat on the pattern paper. A heart is cut out of the cover plate, so you can clearly see the underlaying pattern paper. I made the same card like this, but on that one I used another sentiment. One that was stamped and heat embossed as well, but cut using banner dies. You can see that the card looks as nice with another sentiment on top. And on this one I didn't use foam squares to glue the leaves raised, so it's more playful. On this card I used the cover plate die for making a shaker card, where I glued the die cut using foam tape. A big sheet of acetate keeps the shaker bits trapped in the card. The butterflies are stamped on pattern paper, and I used vellum for an extra die cut of the branches next to the branches cut out of pattern paper. For leftovers there's always some space on the envelope. I hope I inspired you using cover plate dies. You can use them for lots of different card making projects. Remember, there are other videos I already made using cover plate dies. You can find links for them in the description and in the I box in the right corner of my channel Cisvolk. On my Facebook, Pinterest and Instagram platforms you can also find lots of card examples. If you like my videos, please consider to subscribe to my channel Cisvolk. Products I used can be found in the descriptions as well. Please use them if you go for some crafty shopping. I wish you a wonderful crafty day and I will see you next time. Bye bye!